Everything around this team just got way more serious. The pressure, the expectations, the buzz around the quarterback room. It's all starting to build now, and Steelers fans already know this season is going to be one wild ride from start to finish. There are still a lot of questions about how everything's going to work, but one thing is clear. This franchise believes it has a real shot to make noise again. And honestly, that's exactly the kind of energy this fan base has been waiting for. If you're fired up for this season, smash that like button and drop a "Here we go" down in the comments so we know the real Steelers Nation is in the building. Aaron Rodgers is officially locked in as the Pittsburgh Steelers' starting quarterback for the 2026 season. And the moment that contract became real, it completely shifted the conversation around this franchise. What looked like a patient waiting game suddenly became a full commitment from the organization. And now the attention turns to what this means not only for the current roster, but for the future of the quarterback position in Pittsburgh. The biggest detail everybody immediately focused on was the money. Rodgers is getting $22 million guaranteed, with incentives capable of pushing the deal to $25 million. That number matters because it instantly places pressure on the Steelers' salary cap situation, but it also says something important about how this front office views Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career. They still believe he gives them a legitimate opportunity to compete at the highest level. And honestly, when you compare that salary to the rest of the quarterback market around the NFL, the Steelers still believe they are getting tremendous value here. What makes this story even more fascinating is the fact that multiple reports around the league suggested Rodgers delayed signing because he wanted more money. That narrative exploded for weeks. Former players, analysts, and even some Steelers fans became convinced this was simply a negotiation tactic from Rodgers. But according to the reporting discussed in the file, that really was not the case at all. The Steelers and Rodgers apparently had the financial framework figured out over a month earlier. The delay was never truly about dollars. It was about Rodgers deciding whether he fully wanted to commit himself to another NFL season. And honestly, that sounds exactly like Aaron Rodgers. This is a quarterback who has always operated differently from everybody else. He moves on his own timeline. He thinks through every major decision deeply. The Steelers understood that from the beginning. They were willing to wait because they believed the upside was worth the patience. So when people started celebrating the Rodgers wanted more money theory, the organization internally apparently never viewed it that way. The business side had already been settled long before the official signing happened. Now the real challenge begins for Omar Khan and the Steelers' front office, because fitting Rodgers under the salary cap requires immediate maneuvering. Before the deal, Pittsburgh reportedly had around $11 million available in cap space. Add Rodgers' contract into the equation, and suddenly the numbers no longer work cleanly. That means restructures are coming. The Steelers are going to move money around, and several veteran contracts immediately become central to the discussion. One of the names that immediately stands out is Jalen Ramsey. His contract structure reportedly gives Pittsburgh flexibility because of a large roster bonus due later in the summer. That could be converted into a signing bonus and spread across future years, instantly creating relief. DK Metcalf is another obvious candidate because he still has multiple seasons remaining on his deal, allowing the Steelers to distribute cap charges more comfortably over time. Pat Freiermuth could also become part of these discussions because restructuring his contract could reportedly free up more than $5 million. What is interesting here is the balancing act Pittsburgh has to manage. Yes, they need room right now for Rodgers. But every restructure creates future consequences. If you move money around too aggressively, eventually those cap hits come back to haunt you. That is why names like T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith become complicated conversations. The Steelers could technically restructure those contracts too, but doing so pushes more financial burden into future seasons, when those players will be older and potentially less productive. Pittsburgh has always tried to avoid reckless cap management, so watching which direction Omar Khan chooses will say a lot about how aggressive this organization truly plans to be during the Rodgers era. But the most important part of this entire story might not even be Rodgers himself. It might be what happens behind him. Because while Rodgers gives Pittsburgh a short-term answer, the franchise is already clearly thinking about life after him. And that brings the spotlight directly onto Drew Aller and Will Howard. According to the discussion inside the uploaded report, the Steelers are heavily focused on rebuilding aspects of Drew Aller's fundamentals from the ground up. That phrase immediately created strong reactions, because whenever fans hear rebuild mechanics, panic usually follows. People instantly think a quarterback is broken. Former NFL quarterbacks and quarterback coaches publicly questioned whether a complete mechanical overhaul is even realistic at the professional level given the limited practice time allowed under the collective bargaining agreement. But the important clarification here is that Pittsburgh is not completely rebuilding Drew Aller as a passer. They reportedly love many aspects of his upper body mechanics already. The focus is specifically on his footwork. And honestly, that matters because poor footwork has been one of the defining flaws for many young quarterbacks entering the NFL over the years. Patrick Mahomes had major footwork concerns coming out of college. Josh Allen dealt with similar criticism. Jordan Love also entered the league needing serious refinement in that area. That does not automatically mean Drew Aller becomes the next superstar quarterback. Pittsburgh understands there is still a massive mental side to playing the position. Processing defenses, handling pressure, studying film, understanding protections, all of that still has to develop. But what the Steelers apparently believe is that Aller possesses enough physical talent to justify a long-term investment in his development. And this is where Aaron Rodgers' presence becomes incredibly valuable. The Steelers are not asking Drew Aller to save the franchise immediately. They are giving him a redshirt developmental season behind one of the most accomplished quarterbacks in NFL history. That could end up being one of the smartest moves this organization has made in years because it allows Aller to focus entirely on fundamentals, preparation habits, film study, and understanding the speed of the professional game without the pressure of starting immediately. At the same time, Will Howard remains a huge part of this conversation too. The belief discussed in the report is that Howard currently may be more prepared to actually step into a live NFL game if needed, because he already has a developmental year behind Rodgers. There is a growing sense that Howard could realistically emerge as Pittsburgh's QB2 entering the season, while Aller spends the year as QB3 developing behind the scenes. And honestly, this creates one of the most fascinating quarterback situations the Steelers have had in years. You have Rodgers serving as the experienced veteran trying to chase another championship. You have Will Howard potentially becoming the trusted immediate backup option. Then you have Drew Aller sitting quietly in the background as the long-term developmental project the organization may secretly believe could eventually become their future starter. What makes this even more intriguing is the fact that Pittsburgh still is not locked into anything. If Drew Aller struggles behind the scenes, the Steelers could absolutely still pursue another quarterback in a future draft. Spending a third-round pick does not guarantee anything in today's NFL. The organization clearly likes Aller's upside, but they are also leaving themselves flexibility depending on how his development unfolds over the next year. That flexibility may end up being the smartest part of this entire strategy. Instead of forcing a rookie quarterback onto the field too early, Pittsburgh is finally showing patience at the position. They are building a bridge with Rodgers while simultaneously preparing multiple younger options behind him. It is a layered plan, and for the first time in a long time, there actually appears to be a real long-term structure forming around the quarterback room. Now, the question becomes whether this gamble truly pays off. Can Aaron Rodgers still deliver at a championship level? Can the Steelers manage the salary cap correctly without damaging their future? Can Drew Aller develop into the quarterback they believe he might become? And can Will Howard force his way deeper into the conversation than people currently expect? Steelers fans are going to spend the entire season debating those questions non-stop. So what do you think about Pittsburgh's quarterback plan moving forward with Aaron Rodgers, Drew Aller, and Will Howard all in the mix? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and turn on notifications, because all the latest Steelers news is happening right here first. And make sure you click the video on your screen right now for more exclusive Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Here we go. Steelers!